MLW is my field, it's my playground. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm definitely not afraid of utilizing a phallus, a cane, a weapon. You're nothing more than a phony anymore.
It's Talkamania.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another, bonus episode of Talkamania. I'm your host here, Dezmino, and guys, we got a treat for you today. We got a special guest, and you may know the name. His father cemented a legacy, but now he's cementing a legacy of his own. This man trained in the Storm Wrestling Academy, and he could be seen in Major League Wrestling, and was recently announced to be taking on Rich Swan April 5th, Melrose Ballroom, the Rookie of the Year, and the man with the mullet, and part of the new Era Hart Foundation. And his career has been flying. Brian Pillman Jr. How's it going, man? Welcome to Talkamania.
Ladies and gentlemen, how is it? How are we doing tonight?
You got your own show tonight. So this is Brian Pillman Jr. You're the star, man. What you been up to? What are you doing going into WrestleMania weekend? Your match that was announced today. It's pretty damn exciting. Rich Swan, former WWE Cruiserweight Champion. You get to take him on. What do you do for this type of match, and how do you prepare?
The biggest thing, just getting ready for the weekend, is getting back in tip-top shape. If I'm completely honest, I kind of let myself get out of the ultimate shape I was in. I started off my career in very, very good shape, but as you all know, the struggles of the road can be very, very trying. And trying to eat right and diet and do all these things while still bumping on the mat and taking blows to the head and stuff like that is, it's really hard on your body and stuff. And I've had 2 injuries since I started my career already. And, I don't think that's due to my lack of any safety precautions. I like to think I'm a pretty safe guy out there in the ring, but that's just because of the large amount of workload and the demand for my matches and the demand for me to be booked every single weekend. And, you're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen, but I'm very motivated by the Full Gear Challenge that AEW has proposed. So I decided I'm not going to show up to WrestleMania in anything less than my best shape, especially with 2 high-level opponents, Maxwell Jacob Friedman operating at a very high level, and, of course, Rich Swan, ex-WWE. You've seen what he can do. And you got to be in real good shape when you go into the ring with these guys. You got to be in very good conditioning so you don't get blown up and embarrassed out there.
Absolutely. And that's it, man. I'm looking at this MLW tapings for the 4th and the 5th of April. Like, you got a lot of work cut out for you. You're taking on MJF. You're taking on Rich Swan. Are you also taking part in the Battle Royale?
They'll probably put me in that too because they like to get every freaking ounce of work out of me that they can.
Do you enjoy those type of matches, those large-scale Battle Royale, Royal Rumble-style matches?
I actually hate them because I'm the type of guy, I like to get really into my opponent's face, and I like to get a personal vendetta going. I like to really make the match emotional and personal. And to me, when there's just too many guys in there, too much can go wrong. Again, injuries can happen when too many guys are trying to battle it out. And, nobody's really getting too personal. It's really just a clusterfuck if you, no pun intended, right?
I've always wondered how the communication worked in these type of matches and, like, knowing, what the spots you're supposed to do, I guess, who's being eliminated, when you're being eliminated, who wins it. Is there any tricks or tips you can share?
I guess from a non-kayfabe point of view, everything is kind of, sort of planned out, as far as the production team and what they want to happen. So everybody's got their time cues. Everybody's on the same page. When you're working at MLW, you're working with high-level professionals. So as someone that hasn't been in the business very long, I am not the person to ask for very high-level tips on that. But as far as I'm concerned, the guys I'm working with are operating at a high level. So as long as I do my job and I hit my timings and things and do what I got to do, then that's how we get business done. And like I said, the talent is just so high level there that I'm not nervous anymore. I used to get nervous when I wrestled, but now I know where I'm at is the highest level company in the business. So.
Awesome, man. And yeah, it's great seeing you perform. And I think one of the exciting things about these interviews is like I get to go back and watch a bunch of your stuff. You know, it sends me on a tangent watching a bunch of your father's stuff, and you see a bunch of, I guess, similarities, the intensity that you guys have, and I guess the potential that I see when I see you wrestle. I mean, you have that look. It's really exciting, and also to see you usher in your career with Kevin Sullivan. I think, how beautiful is that? The fact that you have him coming in with your career when he was involved with your father. I was just watching their strap match when he did the infamous "I respect you, Booker Man." Thought it was amazing, and just have you involved working with him. How was that?
And yeah, you talked about the intensity and stuff, and that's something that a lot of guys, they just can't learn. It's something that I kind of had from day one. Just the willingness to go out there and just let it all loose and truly believe in what I'm doing and believe in that I'm a fighter and I'm out there to kill. But, it was really cool working with Kevin Sullivan. Super nice guy. He would never hurt a fly or a ladybug, or he would never hurt any insects for that matter. But, it's just one of those things where because my father's career had so many iconic, so many deep and memorable moments, so many timeless moments, it's impossible to escape that kind of shadow. So instead of trying to escape from underneath it, I sort of embraced the shadow, and I kind of lived throughout it, and if a promoter, whether it's TV or just a random indie, if they have some crazy, stupid thing they want to pitch that has something to do with some line my father said or some promo he cut or some match he had, I just kind of let it ride. I let it flow because it is still very early in my career, and let these guys get it all out of their system. Let them mark out a little bit,
Well,
everybody's just marking out,
That's it. And there's no doubt you're going to be on to big things down the road, and I'm sure people are going to be bugging you to talk about lots of these things over and over. Trying to mix it up a little bit.
So, yeah, I enjoy you guys keeping it current up with the current events, and not asking me if Stone Cold really invaded my home and what happened. It's like, okay, come on now. We've heard that one about 100 times.
Well, that's it. And I think a lot of people also, the WWE, I guess marks, as you want to call them, they remember Brian Pillman, but your father did so much before coming to the WWE, which to me, it was most of the highlights of his career. I love this time in the WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it. But, man, he did a lot in his career. So now you're cementing your legacy. We're here to talk to Brian Pillman Jr. It's about you. You got your own episode, man, on Talkamania. So I also want to talk about Kevin Sullivan wouldn't hurt a fly. I can't say the same for you guys in the Hart Foundation. You did lay a hand on that man, and it wasn't very nice. But I did like where it led, the new Era Hart Foundation. How enjoyable, how much fun is it being part of this organization, the Hart Foundation?
Well, we had to do what we had to do. It was an organic union, and we united against the evil that we were facing. We all had a common goal in mind, and that was to rid the geezers of the business, rid those guys, those old school guys that keep latching on. They're latching on to young talent, trying to stay in the business. It's like, how many times do they retire? They always retire because it gets a big pop, and then they come back, and then they retire again, and it's just, it gets old, and honestly, it's disrespectful to us guys that are trying to make a name for ourselves. There's only so many spots on a card, and when a guy like Kevin Sullivan or Tommy Dreamer takes up a spot on a card, it's really just a spit in the face to the guys like the New Hart Foundation who are still trying to get by.
Yeah, and on the note of Tommy Dreamer, your Singapore cane match, loved it. I love that. I will say I love the fact that you have that cane. It's pretty cool. But the match itself was exciting. I believe that was your first cane match.
It was the first time I had used the canes. It was a pretty special moment for me, for my first kind of hardcore style match, to be with the innovator of violence, to be with the guy who kind of made that cane famous. And then to go on to have a tag match against him and Sandman was just even more phenomenal. It was just double or nothing at that point. It's like both the guys wielding the canes, and ultimately I got the cane shot in the end that won us the match. So
that's all that matters, man.
Things are going pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you got to do quite a bit in your short tenure on the scene, so it's pretty exciting. And, we knew we were going to be talking to you a little bit earlier, but reading your match against Rich Swan, I mean, look at the opportunities. You're definitely flying, and, I can't wait to see, obviously, what you're always up to next. The Hart Foundation, I just want to quickly mention, what's it like working with Dave Jr. and Teddy? Do you have a tight-knit relationship with the Hart family, or is it just mainly MLW centered?
Teddy and Harry are very different individuals. They're Davey Boy Smith Jr., if you will. They're very different types of guys. Harry's much more of a Jim Cornette, where Teddy's a lot more of that lucha indie style, and it just kind of. But it all comes down to the Canadian style. It all unifies there, right? So they both know how to fight. They both know how to strike and how to get physical in the ring. They both know how to stretch people because they were trained in the dungeon, as you know. So. It's really wonderful, and it's wonderful when there's a nice dynamic getting in the ring with guys like Rich Swan, guys that understand the TV style of things and can really ground us in that aspect. So it is kind of hard. I'm kind of torn in between taking advice from Harry or taking advice from Teddy, because oftentimes it would be conflicting advice, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. But yeah, it's definitely great to see you guys together. Having this, I guess, new Era Hart Foundation, I think it's refreshing to a lot of us. And at the same time, we've been watching some of those H2 TV videos. Please tell me you're going to continue with these.
Yeah, the H2 TV was a great idea. I think it was Court's idea. It was a very, very smart, because a lot of our promos were very much shoot and very much off the cuff and very organic. We weren't given any scripts or anything. So Court went ahead and said, you know what? Why are we giving them anything? Why don't we just film them and just see what they do and just see how their days are? And that's what it is. It's essentially a reality show about our lives, and it's kind of cool just to see where we travel, where we go, and how we prepare for our matches. And the Hart Foundation that's on it. We're very fresh, we're very new, but we're still riding high, and hopefully that continues to go up and up and up, and hopefully there aren't any peaks and valleys anytime soon.
Again, it's been exciting watching you guys on H2 TV, guys. Check it out if you haven't. Awesome, hilarious, and can't wait to see what you guys are doing next. They got the tag team titles as well too, so lots going on in the MLW, lots going on within the Hart Foundation. And that being said, it was recently announced that the Hart Foundation would be going into the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's a big deal, yeah.
I want to get your opinion, your thoughts on that.
I think it's great timing. It's good timing, because not only are we doing our thing, but also Natalya is doing her thing. Who knows? Maybe TJ comes back to the ring in some wonderful, beautiful fashion. He's been trying to heal himself up for many years now, so. I think it's great. Everybody's like, oh, your dad should be in, and Owen and everybody else that was in the 97 Hart Foundation. But in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, because we all know that what their contributions are. We all know that the Hall of Fame is more or less symbolic, and it's just a way to honor people even more than they already are. So it's not like I don't realize that my father is remembered for what he's done. Obviously he is. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had such an amazing support system coming into the business. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't affect me at all if he's not put in the Hall of Fame or not. And I don't think he would have cared either if, had he been here today. So.
Great way to put it, humble. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, we also see some people put in there that are questionable, and a lot of people left out. So, it is what it is. Father definitely left cemented his legacy, and there's no denying his proper place there. So, but good for the Hart Foundation, and also at the same time, you guys being in the Hart Foundation as well too. Definitely a great timing. I want to ask you a question. We were talking about the cane match that you had, and there's one aspect I thought was hilarious. I want to know whose idea this was. You were in the cane match. Tommy was taking it to you. You got a beer to the face. I think that I've seen you taking a beer to the face more than one time now. But when he tried to take your jacket off, you had another shirt, and then another shirt. And I thought that was hilarious. It reminded me of something like Jericho would do or something. Who come up with that idea? And I got to say, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely the plan, was to get that theme over. And as much as I'd like to take credit for that idea, I want to say it actually goes back to Lance Storm, who I had messaged for advice on the match. And he jokingly said, I said, how do I go into handling a cane match? Does it hurt, et cetera, et cetera? And he said, why don't you just wear a sweatshirt? And I laughed, and I showed Court the message, my boss. I said, look at this message from Lance. How funny is that? And then it really, the light bulb clicked in Court's eyes, and he said, you know what you're going to do? You're going to wear layers. You're going to wear a shirt underneath a long sleeve. You're going to wear a long sleeve underneath a jacket, and you're going to wear a jacket underneath your ring jacket. And that's how we're going to do the match. And then underneath, obviously, my shirt is my bare skin. And as you can see, like we the match kind of goes in each level, each layer is pulled off and one at a time, and it kind of builds and builds, and it goes with the theme of the match. So very proud of how that turned out. But of course, I couldn't have done it without the wise leading and advice of Tommy Dreamer. You know, as much as I hate those old sons of bitches taking up my TV time, we wouldn't be able to put on such a good product without them.
And to be able to tell those stories so early on in your career, it's really, really impressive. So we're talking about Lance Storm. You trained at Lance Storm's Academy. What was it like working with him? And just walk us through that a little bit.
You know, Lance was the type of guy, you know, he didn't want to, didn't want anybody to get hurt. He didn't want to, you know, he wanted it to be more of like a college on wrestling, you know, and if you weren't someone that was in super physical shape, he wasn't going to like try to haze you out of the school. You know, he wanted everybody to have a chance in the business, and he wanted everybody to get a chance to learn. So it wasn't as physical as I had hoped. Someone like, obviously my father was in the NFL and stuff, so I've got good physical genes. I can handle a lot of rigorous activity, whether it's CrossFit or any type of conditioning. So I was hoping for a little more of that, you know, conditioning type and running and having long matches and stuff. But what I was gifted with was 3 months of excellent education and psychology and some of the safest movesets and things that could carry me forever. And I still use so many of those skills that I learned at his school to this day. So I can't thank Lance Storm enough for just having a really safe and very efficient school. It's definitely one of the best places to get your start. But after you leave there, you have to adjust to the new school style of the indie scene, and you have to add a lot more bells and whistles to your repertoire, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I got to say, you got a pretty badass power slam, man.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I learned from Lance, and it's one of those things it's sort of a Canadian style thing, and obviously Randy Orton's made it very popular, and
right.
He being a legacy as well, it's kind of my tribute to him as well.
Cool. Are you still I guess hashing out the finisher? Because I see you using the bridging German suplex. I saw you use your move against Tommy Dreamer. Is it still coming to you, or do we have one?
Yeah, so that the finisher I've been using is the double arm trapped swinging neck breaker.
Right.
It's I call it the Dire Promise.
Nice.
That's definitely my main finisher. I don't think anyone's ever kicked out of it or even countered it in any way. So it's something I use as a last resort to end the match. I also do a modified version of a penta driver with the leg held, you know, instead of the arm. So I got some different tools up my sleeve. Definitely been experimenting with some more aerial stuff lately. I tried in the beginning of my career. I tried not to do too much because I didn't want to set the bar too high,
right,
and get hurt and get injured and stuff. But now that I'm learned from my injuries and I know how to stay safe, I can pepper in some dives here and there and then some springboard crossbodies and stuff. I was able to execute that in Chicago against Robert Anthony. So, you know, people just got to be ready for anything. You know, I might come from behind you. I might come off the top ropes. I've worked very, very hard to have a very successful super kick as well. So just something I like to take out of Lance's book. And, of course, everybody loves a good super kick, so you can't complain about that.
I think there's some people who make a career out of the super kick, so definitely. So I got to ask, Brian Jr., what do you do on your downtime? And, you know, what do you do when you're not wrestling?
So like I said, I've had a very rigorous training schedule as of late. I've been doing some boxing and some kickboxing. I've done some Muay Thai when I'm up in New York City. I've got a Muay Thai gym up there I enjoy a lot because, you know, a lot of today's offense in 2019 revolves around heavy striking and stuff. So I want to be able to compete with the best of them. I do also enjoy some video games as well in my spare time.
Yeah, I heard you got that triple S score in Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I know, and it felt good at first, but then I eventually realized that the character I was using was kind of easy to do that with, so it wasn't all that impressive after all.
Still, those games can be pretty tricky, man. Like, I haven't played a Devil May Cry in a while. I used to be into that series, Bayonetta as well, too, and it can be hard to get some of those combos down, but you know, don't cut yourself short, man. It's not that easy to do.
Well, yeah, they got one of the characters in there. He just uses these pets and these animals, and they do all the combos for you, so it's like you really don't even have to put yourself in harm's way. But from what I've read, it gets harder with him because his animals, they die a lot easier, so you have to start protecting yourself somehow. So
Also, there you go. You still got to put some
So
strategy in there.
Thank you for bringing that up. I really enjoy Super Smash Brothers, though. I think fighting games are a great parallel to pro wrestling in that you can actually take moves from fighting games and use them in the ring and use inspirations from different things. Whether it's Mortal Kombat or Smash Brothers or Street Fighter or whatever. It's really interesting.
Smash Brothers can be a lot of fun. And dude, I'm a Smash master, so watch who you're talking to.
Well, I'll be willing to put my money on it that you can't beat me. So.
Oh, I don't know. I know you're a busy man, but we might have to set up a challenge one day because who's your character to your go-to?
Ganondorf.
Ganondorf. I'm Samus. Since Nintendo 64 days.
She's not bad.
No, I save up I charge that missile, her hand, and then you forget I have it, and then when you're not paying attention, poof, you're gone. So we'll see.
Oh yeah.
Good shit. Cool. So I wanted to ask you, what does the future hold for Brian Pillman Jr.? It's still early in your career. You started in December 2017. You're now with MLW. How long does that contract carry over for?
The future is it's a big mystery. I mean, I'd have a couple more years with MLW, and that might have, that keeps me grounded.
Right.
Things were happening a little too fast. I might have been booked on against some opponents or on some shows that I might not have been ready for. But at the end of the day, some of the best moments are when you're not ready and when you learn and then you go out there and you really surprise yourself. So, whether it's AEW or WWE, I'd imagine those are the next two branches. Those are the next two forks in the road. And after I leave MLW, I will decide. I'm more interested in experiencing Mexico as well.
Right.
I'd like to go to Mexico and do some wrestling. I think Japan would be nice. I just don't foresee it at this point. I don't foresee those connections voting out very well. Although I do, that's my favorite style of wrestling to watch is the Japanese style, and I enjoy the way they do their promos as well. So as much as I'd love to work over there, like my trainer Lance Storm said, you don't really have a choice on where you go. It's just, it's whoever gives you the call,
I've been actually getting into a lot of more New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, too. I think it's amazing. It's a whole different kind of beast over there. One of the big differences I found was, when you watch it, there's not as much commentating. With the WWE, it's all fluff. There's a lot more there now. Then they tell the story in the ring. The crowd reacts. It's really exciting to watch. For MLW, does your contract limit you to indie shows, or are you MLW all the way now?
Oh, I can work as many indie shows as I want. There's no issue as far as working other promotions. I'm even allowed to work for Impact if I wanted to.
Nice.
I can work for pretty much anybody except WWE.
Fair enough. But who knows what the future holds, man. I don't know. I look at you and I think NXT. AW as well, too. Yeah. What do you think about what they're doing over there? You think it's really great for, I guess, wrestlers that are trying to break through?
Well, I think I'll know more in Vegas because I will be down there in Vegas. So.
Oh, are you attending the show or what's going on? You want to give us a little insider scoop?
Yeah, so far I'm confirmed for StarCast, which is the main meet and greet. But I don't know 100%, but I would venture to say that they would like to use me on the show if they're going to be flying me down there for the meet and greet.
Awesome. Have you had any conversations with Cody Rhodes? Do you have any relationship with him or ever talked to him? Just curious.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually got very lucky to meet Cody while I was in Canada training with Lance. So there was a pro wrestling show in Calgary known as PWA, the Prairie Wrestling Alliance.
How Canadian is that, eh?
Yeah. Hey, and and they have a very high-level wrestler there who actually had a short ride in NXT as well. His name is Michael Blaze. And they brought in Cody Rhodes to wrestle him for the title. And Cody brought in a great draw and did a lot for the company. And Brandy was there. And I got to sit down and I actually had a conversation with Cody about, the different, what to expect coming into the business as a legacy. And he gave me such, we sat down on the floor and talked for like a good 20, 30 minutes. He was very, very generous with his time for me.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a very humble individual, and he's looking to, I guess, to bring the best out of everybody and anything. So definitely like what he's doing.
And I've seen him twice since then. I've seen him at the big event in New York City, and I've seen him at an indie show I was on in Atlanta, where I was born. And then I saw him at an indie show in Connecticut.
Sweet. Cool, man. So
Mhm.
maybe that'll take you somewhere down the road, but either way, definitely a good man to have connections with. I want to ask you this before we get to the end of the segment. I know it's a little early in your career, but do you have any dream matches or bucket list matches that you'd like to face off against certain opponents?
Well, I've always had a little bit of fire aimed towards MJF, so I'm gonna get one of my first dream matches this next week in New York City, and I'm very excited for it. And a lot of people are excited for me to potentially wrestle Liger in his last year. So I got to say that's somewhat of a dream match too, but that's more so for the fans than it is for me. But for me, I'd really love to step in the ring with Kenny Omega or Jericho or both. Those are kind of my spirit animals as far as inspiration goes in wrestling.
Nice, man. Yeah, I was saying earlier that the jacket thing the jacket thing you did in the Kane match with Tommy Dreamer just reminded me of Jericho and got that charisma. But anyways, you make it your own, and that's what I like about it. So it's been really exciting to watch you. Now, I want to ask you. You said you came to Montreal. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, well that's a good note to hit. So I had a good time in Montreal. I went up there and worked for a guy that, at first it seemed really, really professional, and then as the night went on, it got a little more shady. But that's the thing, I guess, being in another country, I guess everything seems a little shady at first, so you're not sure what to do, what to expect, and we were at a bar, and some of the fans could only speak French and stuff, and it was really cool. So I got to meet. I was actually injured, so they still flew me in, still brought me in for the show. I actually got stiffed on pay by about half. I didn't really want to make a big deal out of it, but I came in. I did a promo segment, and I healed up on an old lady. It was her birthday at the show. She was like at least 80 years old, and they had a cake for her and everything, and she blows out the candles, and I take the cake and I throw it against the wall. And just got tons of heat. Everybody's yelling.
I love it.
This old lady is screaming at me in French. She's like, no, like, oh, God. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So, and then, of course, their Quebec, their superhero, he comes out and saves the day and beats me up with a broomstick. So that was fun. And then the promoter, didn't even secure me a ride to the airport. So I'm like, I'm about to spend $50 on a cab to get to the airport when I only got paid half my rate anyway. So I was like, God damn, I'm not going to make any money on this trip. And then, so Sexy Eddie pulled through for me. He was very good. He was like, you know what? I'll haggle the promoter next time I see him. I'll buy you the cab and stuff. So he really took care of me. And that speaks volumes to that guy's character. And I've only heard good things about him too.
It's funny because Sexy Eddie is a friend of ours. He is a good guy, and he's a bit of a legend, I guess, in terms of Montreal wrestling. He's been around a long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely good to hear that you got the good treatment after getting stiffed. I wanted to make a joke that maybe it was because of the Quebec taxes, because they tax you up the ass over here. But,
ain't nobody paying taxes in the wrestling world.
But maybe next time.
At least this guy wasn't. He called himself the Scarface of Montreal. He thought he was like some kingpin or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to if you ever come back to Montreal. And if you ever stuck, look up Talkamania. We'll drive you to the airport, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Did you try poutine while you were here?
I didn't try poutine while I was there. I've had it in Calgary, though. So
okay, maybe.
I lived in Calgary for 3 months when I was with Lance.
Maybe. We have people that come, they're like, yeah, I had poutine. I had it at McDonald's, or I had it. No, you have to. It's a magical meal when you have the right gravy, the right fries, the right cheese.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a difference between Calgary style and Eastern Montreal style?
Absolutely. That's all I got to say.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get a chance to try y'all's kind, but the kind I had in Calgary was pretty good. You got the cheese curds and the gravy and the fries, and it's quite delicious. So.
Cool, man. I'm glad you liked it. So then it was something to look forward to next time you come to Montreal. There's no doubt you'll be here in the future.
Yeah, I actually had a great time. It's a time I'll never forget. There's some other details of the story that I can't exactly say on the air. So
I figured
maybe if we do get together, I can finish the story and tell you guys about it. But no, I actually had a great time, and if that promoter, if he wants a second chance, I'll give it to him. But as far as I'm concerned, he's hiding from somebody, so who knows?
Could be the case. Shady things happen in Montreal too, so it's not absolutely surprising. But I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, and we definitely look forward to having you back in our city. Now, Brian Pillman Jr., tell our listeners, where can they find you Wrestlemania weekend in New York? What are you going to be up to? How can we catch up with you?
April 4th and 5th, I'll be wrestling for Major League Wrestling. And you obviously know you can watch that on beIN Sports USA or YouTube. And we will be doing business at the Melrose Ballroom in New York City, Queens, New York. And you can follow me on Flying. I'll also be wrestling Emil Satoshi at the WrestleCon show at 11 a.m. So we'll be doing some meet and greet stuff and then having a match and then hopefully meeting some more fans and just overall doing really well there. And then if I'm lucky, I'll be on Joey Janela's Spring Break Part 3, but that is not yet announced. So here is an unannounced secret for you all. So
sweet, man. Definitely appreciate that. Talkamania is going to be there as well too. We're going to be there for NXT, WrestleMania, and Raw, but we are also hitting up WrestleCon, so maybe we'll stop by and say hello to Brian Pillman.
Awesome. I'm sure you guys will be busy, but if you're hanging around on April 6th at midnight, that will be Joey Janela's Spring Break Part 2, and it is going to be a wild show.
Awesome.
But it might already be sold out, so who knows?
Well, we'll see, and if not, guys, get on that shit. All right, thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. I know you're busy. You're getting ready for your big match against Rich Swan. Guys, check it out. It was announced. It's going to be MLW, Melrose Ballroom, April 5th. Come on, man. Check that shit out.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
One more.
You guys are the greatest. Thank you guys for giving me a platform.
Oh, absolutely. I want to ask one favor. Is there any chance you can give us, this is Brian Pillman Jr., and you're listening to Talkamania?
My name is Brian Pillman Jr., and you are listening to Talkamania.